I guess we just get straight into it. So, in terms of our predictions, is everyone ready to go, Chris? I think you'll have to lean forward a bit because you're immersing into your own blur.
The light.
And
Chris has got
the light behind
sort of the cinematic lens flares. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got like a focus in.
HDR. There we go. HD ready.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, these were the predictions that we did make at the start of the season. It is points-based, I believe. So that is what we agreed to do it on a points-based system. So as things stand, unfortunately, Dan is ahead due to the Ten Hag first manager to leave pick. Everyone else is doing all right. I'm on 4 points for Arsenal in the top 4, getting all the bottom 3. George is only on 2 because he only got Leicester and Southampton for the bottom 3. Dan's obviously on 5, Arsenal and Chelsea in the top 4, Ipswich, Southampton in the bottom 3, and Chris has 3 for Arsenal in the top 4, Ipswich and Southampton.
Chelsea?
Sorry, 4. Sorry, 4. That's my bad. Chelsea are in 4th. It's because it's on a different line. But yeah, Arsenal and Chelsea in the top 4, Ipswich and Southampton in the bottom 3. So you're on 4 points as well. Yeah, who put me in charge indeed. Well, let's just slowly work our way down the list then. So obviously, none of us have the current Premier League leaders because 3 of us went for Man City, 1 of us went for Arsenal. I guess the first question is to the other 2 people that did Man City, can Man City catch Liverpool?
Nah.
No, not Man City.
Not Man City. You still think Arsenal can?
I still think, Arsenal can. And I mean, if Nottingham Forest, that's literally what I was about to say. If Nottingham Forest carry on the way they're going, if we drop points, they can. I think City are out of it. Their fight is now to get back into the top 4.
Okay. So, yeah, the stats as they are is City are 15 points behind in the first half of the season because Liverpool are exactly halfway at the time of recording. Liverpool have dropped 11 points in the first half of the season.
Technically, is Dan not on 6 points?
Why would Dan be on 6 points?
Because Liverpool are in the top 4.
Yeah, so
Liverpool.
Yeah. So we've designated champions and then we've designated top 4. So,
second, third, and fourth.
Yeah,
right.
but by that logic, because George has obviously put Arsenal to be champions, so technically he has also put them in the top 4. So either either it's a 2-point swing one way or another. So I've just sort of said that's who you put for champions. This is who you put second, third, and fourth. No particular order for second, third, and fourth. No particular order for the bottom 3 either. But so that's what I was saying. Liverpool have dropped 11 points in the first half of the season. So they would have to drop 4 more points in the second half for City to catch them, assuming City win all their remaining games, of which there are 18. And the current Premier League record for most consecutive wins is 18 wins in a row by Man City. So I'm not saying it's impossible. Yeah. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm saying it's highly unlikely. But as you just pointed out, go on.
I'm still wary of them, but that's probably just PTSD from when we pushed them all the way and they've still won out every time. But
they've already agreed.
But they were never that close. They were never that far away. No. I do agree with what Ryan said. They have got an 18 win streak, but I don't know. They've never been this far away, and I think it just seems to be, I don't know, everything's in free fall for them at the minute. We'll see if they can pull it back, but it also means that we've got to drop that many points, and hopefully at the rate we're going, I'm not saying we will, but at the rate we're going, we hopefully shouldn't.
But that is what I was about to say. I don't know what day I'm going to put this out, but Nottingham Forest Liverpool is Tuesday night, and Nottingham Forest already won at Anfield. And they're only 6 points behind you. But
they pissed us off, so we'll beat them.
And quite easy to segue to the top 4 at this stage because I'm still not convinced Nottingham Forest get top 4. I'm still not convinced Nottingham Forest get top 4. I think there is 2. I don't want to take anything away from them because I think we're going to spend a lot of the rest of this bigging Nottingham Forest up. Spoilers for some of the picks later on. But I think there's too much quality behind them at the moment. I think,
but I mean, they're not in Europe though, so they have that.
No, they're not in Europe. They're definitely capable, and I guess I might bring this up with you lot as well. I brought it up in my league review so far. They have quite literally cheated to get into this position, and nobody's really talking about that because the last 2 seasons in a row, Nottingham Forest have had points deductions for breaking PSR rules and financial fair play rules, but have stayed up with the players that they bought breaking the rules, and now those players have got them into third place at halfway. So they have quite literally benefited from cheating. So no one's really mentioned it, but obviously we'll get to the City charges later on. But I thought it's just worth mentioning because, you know, when you look at some of the teams down the bottom, when you look at some of the teams down the bottom at the moment, like an Ipswich or a Leicester or a Wolves or a Crystal Palace, can they look at Nottingham Forest and go, well, if we breach PSR by 20, 30 million, get in a couple of players, take a 6-point deduction, will those 20, 30 million signings make those 6 points back up and keep us in the division and allow us to push on? Because that's literally what Forest have done. They have cheated and prospered. But anyway, in terms of our predictions, I did Arsenal, Liverpool, Man United. I am happy with 2 of them. I sadly am not happy with Manchester United on a personal and an emotional level because they're not getting top 4. As much as I would love them to, they are not getting top 4. George, will Tottenham get top 4 from here? I'll give you a hint. I'll give you a hint. They're only 1 point. I don't know if it's 1 point, but they're only 1 place above Man United. So
probably not.
Again, everyone's getting.
I'm surprised. Yeah, I'm surprised they've done as poorly as they have. But you know, the amount of injuries they've had in defence. I mean, they still score goals, but
I think
they're just.
Yeah, I think Dan and Chris will be happy with theirs.
Yeah, they've got a full Spurs, haven't they?
Yeah, I would. The only thing I would switch on mine is obviously I'd now put Liverpool as champions and Man City down in the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th positions. But yeah, no,
who would you be putting in for Man City out of the chasing pack? You got Chelsea who are there currently, but then you've got Newcastle in 5th. City are still in 6th. I mean, then you look down to Bournemouth surprisingly doing well in 7th, Villa 8th.
Oh, we'll get
then
to
the
them.
ones that you look.
I said, we'll get to them.
So, I was just something. If you were to take Tottenham out, who would you be looking to replace them with?
As I say, Jeff.
I'll have to look at the table. I don't remember now. It's such a it's such a dogfight in that sort of gap below, isn't it?
I would say right now, because obviously I've got to replace Man United, I'm not going to update the chart because we're still going to have these as our outright predictions for the year. If I'm taking Man United out, I am putting Chelsea in, and that is only because Newcastle are only one Isak injury away from not finishing in the top 4.
That's fair.
Just copying me.
No, I think you've.
No, I'm joking. Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I would unfortunately still put Liverpool champions as well and move Man City into top 4. But yeah, I think if Newcastle can keep everyone fit, and I mean literally everyone fit, because I've seen a rumour the last couple of days that Dubravka's agreed to go to Saudi Arabia, which is bonkers if that's true, because Pope's still not back for a couple of months, and Dubravka's come in and got 4 clean sheets in 5 games. So that would be ridiculous. But
however, he hasn't been required to make that many saves. It's also gone hand in hand with our defence suddenly solidifying, which is down to the midfield finally having balance.
Exactly. So that's what I was going to say. I think you lose one of Bruno Joelinton. I
mean, we did with
Tonali
last game, but it's getting bogged down in detail.
Yeah. Or I say, especially if you lose Isak, I think the likelihood of all of them staying fit for the rest of the season, I think, is unlikely, whereas Chelsea just have so many that I just think they've had a little bit of a blip. I think they'll be all right. But we'll see. And obviously Forest could still surprise everyone. Right, let's move on to the bottom 3 where I can have my moment because I said all 3 promoted sides would get relegated. And as it stands, all 3 promoted sides are getting relegated. Everyone's done Southampton. That is looking like a very good decision. The question for them is, are they going to break Derby's record for the lowest ever points tally? I'm saying, honestly, yes, I think they are. They are absolutely mudded, our Southampton. They're just, even with new management, they're shocking. 6.
Yeah, no, I'd agree with you on that one. I think they could also not, but I think they could very easily.
What is the lowest?
The lowest is, I think the lowest is 12, but Derby were at 7 at the halfway stage. Southampton,
I was going to say they're also a little bit over the halfway stage, aren't they? Because they've now played 20.
They've played the extra game, yeah. Southampton are 1 win and 3 draws from 20 games. And now they've got to play everyone else again. So as long as they don't win at Old Trafford in the week, that'd be lovely. 3 of us did Ipswich. I think they've probably got the best chance staying up. I think Leicester have got more chance of going down than Ipswich.
Leicester sacking their manager and hiring Van Nistelrooy makes no sense to me. But...
Yeah, as a Man United fan who obviously loves Van Nistelrooy, it's like when Ollie went to Cardiff. You can't, or Rooney going to blooming Plymouth during the season. You can't put players with that sort of mindset and history of playing in these free-flowing attacking teams that only sort of know that style of play. You can't put them in a Leicester or a Plymouth or a Cardiff, and then go, oh right, this is how we play football. And then they realise, oh, none of you are anywhere near as good as I ever was in my career. I don't know how to get that out of you. So
I don't know how he got the job in the first place. I find it bizarre.
Yeah, but I don't think he'll make the season, Van Nistelrooy. I think they'll get rid of him as well. So I guess we then look at everyone else's picks. George put Brentford. I believe they're now 11th. Off the top of my head.
Their home form is doing everything for them, isn't it? Really?
Yeah. They're second best home team in the league, and I think they're the third worst away team in the league. Absolutely bizarre.
I think they were actually the worst at one point.
They were, and then Southampton managed to get a draw. No, sorry. They managed to get a draw, and then they beat Southampton. That's how they got away from Southampton.
Yes.
That's the thing with Brentford. They concede goals, but they score goals, don't they? So they, I guess they'll be all right. I thought.
Yeah, there was chat a couple of months ago that Mbeumo might leave in January, but that's not going to happen now because he's become
him coming to Newcastle.
Yeah, he's become far too important, and his price would have gone up because he's become far too important. So he won't go anywhere then. Dan put Forest, who are third, and potentially in a title race if they beat Liverpool.
Yeah, that wasn't a good option for me, was it? Well, they've completely shocked me, and fair play to them. They're doing really well.
Everyone's allowed one mistake on here. Trust me.
Yeah, exactly.
We've all made more than one on here, so you can have that for some of the ones you've got.
I got the manager, so I'll take. That's set in stone. First manager to leave.
And whichever way you look at Chris's, it's not done well. He said Bournemouth, he meant Brentford, and they're both doing well. So, yeah. I guess the question is to round this segment off is: would any of you change any of the current bottom three, which is the three promoted sides? Do you think anyone else is going to drop in?
I mean, you look at it at the minute, Wolves haven't exactly been playing very well.
They've not lost. I think they lost, didn't they?
They just lost recently. They went on a bit of a run where they won 2, drew 1, and they lost their most recent game.
Which was to Forest. But yeah, that was the first loss under Pereira.
I would also put in an argument for... I don't really want them to, even being a Liverpool fan, but with Everton sacking the manager... Depending on what happens from there, it could go bad for them. So there is a shout for them to be in the mix towards the end of the season. As I said, even as a Liverpool fan, I don't mind Everton. It's a bit of a friendly rivalry, isn't it? I mean, we're leagues ahead of them. We're so many leagues ahead of them. No offense, Everton fans, but it's not really a worry. Man United's always the biggest one for me, but. Yeah, so, with depending on what they do, who they get in, and how they bounce back from it, could see them in a battle.
What I've seen, and I imagine it will be confirmed by the time this video is out, is David Moyes is going back.
Yeah,
which I think is a very good appointment. I wouldn't have sacked Sean Dyche, but if they knew they were going to get David Moyes back, I think that will be enough for them.
Didn't know that news. I would actually kind of take back most of what I said there. I do think David Moyes potentially give him up. Still could be, but yeah, with a manager like him coming in, he was always. It's almost like having a little bit of a club legend back as well, isn't it? He was with them when they were fighting for 5th and European spots, wasn't he? Way back in the day.
Well, they're basically asking him to do the same job he did 20 years ago, which is come in, restabilise them, get them back up the table. Which is what he did with Everton and what he did with West Ham, and now look at West Ham. Now that he's left West Ham, so I think if he is the one that's going in there, I think they'll be fine. A couple of signings as well in January. Right, let's move on to some actual interesting things then. So we've got Player of the Season. I think we can sort of gloss over who some of us originally picked because apart from Dan picking Haaland, Rodri's been injured all season. Saka's out for 2.5 months. Haaland has been off the boil since the first month of the season. And Foden has basically missed the entire first half of the season because he's had really bad illness. So, other than Manchester City having an absolute barnstormer for the rest of the season, I think Haaland's probably the only one that would have a chance of stealing it back. But I already know we're all in agreement for the current player of the season, which is, of course, Mohamed Salah, as much as that pains me to say. Probably the best player in the world at the moment, but I will leave that to the 2 Liverpool fans to gloat for the next however long I decide to give you.
Well, yeah, he's incredible, isn't he? It's like he's changed up his game a bit because he's lost a little bit of his pace, but look at the assists he's getting. I'm not sure what he's on at the minute, but I think he's got the most assists and most goals in the league at the minute.
He's definitely got the most combined. I don't know if he's actually got
I think
both
he is
individually.
Top of both, yeah.
I think he's top of both right now. Yeah, I was looking at the FPL the other day at work, and
he's got 18 goals and 13 assists, and Haaland is closest on goals at 16, and Saka is closest on assists at 10.
Fair. I know. He'll be after Henry's record then, because Henry's the only player to get 20 of both in a single season.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah. So he is. If he does exactly what he did in the first half of the season, he'll beat it.
He'll clear it easy. Yeah, if he can emulate it, he could be pushing 30 of each, which would be unheard of.
Yeah.
But I think 25 of each is a realistic target. The way he's playing, and how he's improved in his passing over the last 18 months is incredible. Perhaps that's what he was doing when he had that off spell between January and June. He was working on his passing.
Out. Working out how he's like dealing with his loss of pace. As I said, he's still rapid, but he's definitely lost a little bit there, and he is absolutely upped it in his passing skill.
He's improved his passing. He's also improved his hold-up play as well. He's really learned how to pin left backs when he's receiving with his back to goal. So, no, unfortunately, as much as I hate to say it, Mohamed Salah player of the season so far. In terms of young player of the season, the only one that really has a leg to stand on is Chris with Anthony Gordon, who has had an incredible season so far. I can't take
Not
anything
in
away
terms
from
of
him.
actual numbers, but he has been integral into our kind of recent resurgence of form. We obviously had a slower start, but the way it's come back over recent weeks, it's definitely down to him and Isak's partnership.
Mainu's had it rough. Quanza's season ended.
I forgot I said Quanza.
That's because Quanza played every game of pre-season and played really, really well. And then his season ended at half-time on match day 1 when Arne Slot went, that's not working. Wanyeri, as I said, it's a little bit too soon for him. He looks a player, though. He looks a player.
I was going to say,
He does look a player, good. But unfortunately for him,
I think I took it very literal. I think he's 16.
Yeah.
I was like, youngest player. I was like, okay.
So this is what I was going to say about young player of the season, because there's a little bit of a debate to have about the award in itself. Obviously, we've all gone for Cole Palmer to go back to back, which it is. He is a strong contender for the team of the year for 2024, which is fair enough. His output, I think you talk about actual output. He has the highest output of any top level midfielder this calendar year by a long, long way as well. Like a long, long way. Unless you want to start including the likes of Salah or Messi or players like that as midfielders because they don't play up front. Palmer is well clear in terms of output.
I was going to say, I thought Palmer was the obvious option.
Yeah.
Before the start of the season, so I thought I'd go for someone different.
So
and then it turns out we all went for someone different, and then the obvious option has turned out to be correct. So
this is what I was going to say about the award. Sorry, go on, quick. Go say what you were going to say. I'll say.
I was literally going to say, that's exactly what I did. I went, well, Cole Palmer's obvious, but I'm going to try, go for somebody a bit younger, a bit newer, but it's quite clear in it. Sorry,
this is what I was going to say about the award. This is just my own personal opinion. Firstly, it should be 21, not 23. Because it just opens it up to too many other players. I think the likes of Bukayo Saka can still win it. I think Foden's now 1 year too old, but there are so many talented players that come into their teams at like 18, 19 and could win this reward for 5 years. And my other thing I was going to say is I think you should only win it once. Player of the season, fine. Win that as many times as you want. If you're the best player in the league, win that as many times as you want. But once you've won Young Player of the Year, I feel like from that point onwards, you should only really be eligible for Player of the Year because you've sort of you've done the young player. Like you've proved you're
like
a good young player.
Award, isn't it?
Yeah. And this is what I was going to say about the joke of the reward, and this will make you feel old. Say Lamine Yamal decided to move over to the Premier League in a few years' time. He could still win Young Player of the Year in 2030.
Oh, bloody hell. 37.
That's how bad this award structure is, because he's come into the Barcelona team at 16. He will have had 8 years at the top level and would still be eligible for Young Player of the Year in this country. At which point he could quite literally be the best player in the world by a country mile and could still win Young Player of the Year. So
he could literally be winning Player of the Season and Young Player of the Season.
So let's move on to signing of the season, because I don't think any of us have done amazing here. I did Fulkrug, which I can hold my hands up and say he's been injured for the majority of the season, so I sort of get away with it in that regard. And he has contributed in his last 3 appearances for West Ham in the league. I don't think he did anything to light, though, in the Cup. So, yeah. Minter, in and out of the team, has played well.
But started off all right, didn't he?
Well, that's the thing. I think, again, Pedro Neto started off all right. Has gone a bit off the boil recently with how well Palmer are playing. But I think Neto's drop-off has sort of coincided with Jackson's drop-off. He was sort of part of that whole link-up system, and Jackson's turned back into Jackson again. And then Smith Rowe, again, phenomenal start to the season. So I remember looking at his fantasy football points. Like the first 6 or 7 game weeks, it was like consistently 5, 6, 8, 9, blah, blah. And then since like game week 8 or 9, it's literally been like 1, 1, 2, 1, and then zeros because he's been injured. So unfortunately, none of us have really got anywhere near in terms of the signing of the season. But we have picked our own signings of the season, and here they are. 3 of us have gone for Milenkovic, and Chris has found a little loophole to include Lewis Hall, as he is officially a signing for this season, even though he was on loan from Chelsea last season. So I'll let you start with Lewis Hall, because he has been fantastic, and I'll let you.
He has well and truly established himself as our left back. I think all Newcastle fans were crying out for someone a bit more mobile than Big Dan Burn in at that left back position when we had our fly up to the Champions League. But he's well and truly established himself as Newcastle's left back, and I think he's definitely doing a good job at staking a claim to become England's left back. Because realistically, who else we've been relying on? An injured Luke Shaw for God knows how many years, and no one else has really staked a claim. So I feel like with Lewis Hall being there as the possible option, I think he's definitely got a good shot at becoming our first choice for the national team.
Staying in the team now, Botman's back?
I would say so, yes. I think you've got the way Burns been playing as well, and the fact he's got a good partnership with Cher. You almost have to say Botman has to bide his time to come back into the team, really work on his match fitness, get sharp, and then maybe he would actually take Burns' place rather than Hall's.
Excellent. Right. In terms of Milenkovic, I haven't got too much to say about him, and this is going to be a bit of a criticism from me towards the actual TV companies this season. Nottingham Forest are 3rd in the Premier League table. I can only think of like 2 or 3 occasions I've actually seen Nottingham Forest on TV. So I've not actually been able to get a full look at any of the Forest players in particular, but when I have seen him play, the difference he's made to their team has been fantastic. Obviously, I noticed that most notably at Old Trafford when he defended brilliantly and also scored one of Forest's goals. But I think, what was the transfer fee? It was it under 20 million, wasn't it, in the end, or just over?
I want to say it was I thought it was like maybe 25.
Yeah, but for the price they paid, the ability shown, and again, part of this Forest side,
2 goals, 1 assist.
Yeah, it's not just been him, obviously, and we'll talk about a few other players later on, I'm sure. But to go from a side that finished 17th with a points deduction to go up to 3rd, they have the most clean sheets in the division so far this season. He's a big part of that. He's been the biggest impact, in my opinion, which is why I've gone for him. I generally don't think there's been many outstanding signings. Selfishly, I wanted to put Mazraoui or Ugarte up there, but we're in blooming 13th, so I can't. So,
but there's not really much competition for Milenkovic, really.
No.
I mean,
That's not a disservice to him either. He has been outstanding.
No, yeah.
But there also has barely been any competition.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, no.
Yeah, there's just not really much more to say. He has been the best signing. In my opinion, that's not really debatable. But like I say, Chris has found a very nice loophole with Lewis Hall. So I won't contest that either because he has also been outstanding. Where there is competition, it's for the biggest flop because there are many an option for this. Sadly, I don't think any of us can say any of the ones we picked have been a full-blown flop. Onana had a good start to the season for Villa, hasn't done a lot since. Barkley was always going to be a substitute player, actually scored in Villa's last win at the weekend.
He's done all right, yeah.
I think the last couple of weeks, Savinho's found his feet. Something like five assists in the last 2 games or something for Savinho. He's stepped up the last couple of weeks. And again, I think De Ligt's done all right. I know he's going to get the ridicule for the Liverpool game, but blimmin' hell, if we're having a go at someone when we've drawn 2-2 at Anfield, that's I think we should be happy with that rather than sitting on the receiving end of a hammering.
He's come in as a well-established centre-back and you guys sit 14th.
13th.
13th, sorry. I'm lucky shots fired. So sorry.
The only thing I'll say about De Ligt is I don't think he's actually completed 90 minutes yet. I don't think he's completed 90 minutes. Every single game he seems to go off. So I don't know if he's still working on his fitness. I don't know if he's had pre-existing issues, which...
Are you scoring? Are you conceding the goals while he's on the pitch or when he comes off the pitch?
To be fair, you're not really conceding that much though either. No, I would say
no. We're something like 3rd or 4th for most clean sheets. Our issue is goals. We've not been scoring, and that brings us on to some of our biggest flops. Because speaking of Manchester United not scoring, 2 of us have gone for Xerxes. One of us has gone for Nketiah, and one of us has gone for Jorginho Ruter. So I'll take the lead on Xerxes as a Manchester United fan. It all started so well. Last minute winner against Fulham. He then didn't score until we played Everton, when he scored twice, and he hasn't scored since. The only interesting thing about him is there's still an awful lot of interest in him. And that wouldn't be the case if people didn't see something in him. And I know the club doesn't want to sell him, even though a lot of the fan base do. I'm always of the opinion you've got to give these players a chance. I've obviously lived through a few eras of Manchester United now. The ones that always stick in my head, Evra and Vidic, they were absolutely shambolic for their first 6 months at Manchester United and then turned into, at one stage, arguably the best left-back in the world and one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League era. So I still think he needs a little bit more time, but certainly for, 45 million, I think, or something we've paid for him. He's not...
I think it was slightly less than that, but yeah.
I think that might be the final fee, mightn't it? But yeah, not.
I don't think he's suited to the Premier League, really.
Certainly
I just don't see. I don't see how he can. He's not the hold-up striker. He can't run around and press because he's too bulky. I don't know. I just don't see where he fits into a team.
He's Fellaini without the ability to head the football.
Yeah. I mean, and again, probably why Ten Hag was the first manager sacked. A lot of his signings just...
Well, a lot of his signings...
flopped or he didn't have it. Yeah.
Last season.
We didn't start Ugarte or, it was just,
Yeah. Well, we'll move on to the other ones. Dan's gone for Nketiah. Do you care to elaborate on that one? Because I think it's a genuine good shout.
He's had 14 appearances, I think. I was looking at when I was having a look for it. He's got 1 assist, or it was either 1 assist or 1 goal, and the other one was none. So as a forward player, I don't think he's...
How much did they pay for him? Is that all?
I didn't... Hold on, I'm not actually sure.
I want to say 30 something, maybe.
I was going to say, I want to think it was 30 plus.
It was... Which... For 1 assist or 1 goal, I don't think is particularly very good. I think he's not been exactly the player they wanted.
I think Arsenal fans were happy to be rid of him, and it's been proven why.
Yes.
And then Georgie Ruter, who I didn't even consider, but I've already heard Chris's explanation, but I'll let him explain to everyone else.
I've forgotten my explanation, if I'm honest.
Do you want me to give it? Because I remember what it was. Georgie Ruter has got the same goal output this season as Joshua Xerxes, and he cost 10 million more.
Oh, there we go. That was the research I'd done and hadn't written down.
But no one talks about it because he doesn't play for Manchester United and it's not as high profile. I think in terms of actual on-field performance, I think Ruter has done better than Xerxes. But for someone that's signed to be a creative midfielder / goal-scoring midfielder that's played nearly every single game, he's not really done a lot. And as I sort of keep saying about Brighton in general, since Welbeck's got injured, they've fallen off a cliff. And, this is the sort of guy that's supposed to be stepping up in those sort of situations, and he's not. So I think that is completely justified. There's a few others that didn't make it. I know we spoke about Aaron Ramsdale the other day. I think that is a bit of a flop as well. And there's a few others, I'm sure, people in the comments.
I was saying Maatsen, wasn't I?
Maatsen at Aston Villa.
Something like almost 40 million to Villa. And
yeah, huge hype over him. Chelsea on loan at Dortmund. Brilliant for Dortmund in the Champions League. Goes into Aston Villa.
Champions League final.
Yeah, goes into Aston Villa. Barely see him because, firstly, Digne's done well, but secondly, when Maatsen's played either in Europe or in the Cups, he's not really done a lot. I don't know how he did tonight. I don't know if he played tonight, but yeah. So those are our flops. Let's move on to our managers. Well, I'll tell you what. If I'm right, then he deserves it. I guess, George, you have a chance with Arteta. Slot, obviously, I think at the moment, if Liverpool go on to win the league, I think Slot will win it, no matter what the other manager does that we'll speak about in the moment. And again, I think Eddie Howe would have to win the Premier League to get it. I think even like a second or a third is not going to be enough if Liverpool win the league to stop Slot from winning it. But
yeah, I'd agree with that.
So yeah, I think there's some pretty decent shouts there in terms of who we've actually gone for. 3 of us have gone for Nuno. Chris has gone for Slot, and I don't think we need to say about Slot, do we? He's done so well at Liverpool since coming in. And then I'll let someone else have a go for Nuno. I've been chatting a little bit, so I'll let George have a go. Go on, talk to us about Nuno.
Yeah, I think I'm in an R, and for me it was either Slot or Nuno, and I think it was just the improvement in Nottingham Forest. Like, Slot came into Liverpool, they already finished 3rd last season. The improvement, but then was Nottingham Forest was 17th to the point? No,
17th after the points deduction. But I think I think
to go from 17th to 2nd is like a hell of a turnaround. And I mean, for me, I think if Slot, if at the end of the season, if Liverpool do win the league, I probably will go to Slot. But at the moment, would have to say, at the moment, at this moment of time,
is Liverpool winning the league a bigger achievement than Forest getting Champions League?
No. I would argue there that if Liverpool win the Premier League, but if Nottingham Forest do finish 2nd, 3rd, or 4th, I think it should go to Nuno. Slot's done amazing, but as George said, we were 3rd last year. Klopp didn't do what, no offense, Ryan, but it didn't do what Fergie did and left an aging team to David Moyes.
Oh no!
We still had a solid team. We still had Alisson. We still had Van Dijk. We still had Salah. We had some other players that were coming up have got potential. We had what we needed. So to win the league is a fantastic job for Slot. But if Nottingham Forest actually finish in a Champions League position, I personally think it's on not at the same level, but on a similar level to Leicester winning the Premier League.
Yeah, that's why I've gone for Nuno. Because
Nuno is essentially what Howe got voted manager of the season for when Newcastle made Champions League. So it would literally be rinse and repeat of that.
Yeah,
which makes sense.
Yeah,
I completely agree. It would be the same achievement, if not slightly more, for the way Forest finished the season prior.
And the other reason I've gone for him is because I think it's a self-improvement as well, because he took Wolves from nowhere into Europe, and that got him the Tottenham job, and it just did not work for him at Spurs at all. So for him to step away, come back in at Premier League level, and then do better than what he's done at either of those previous clubs, I think shows personal growth as well, albeit with a team that's cheated. But no, fair play to him. He deserves it as things stand. yeah, again, sadly, if they don't get top 4 and Liverpool win the league, I sadly have to give it to Slot as well. But no, that is that.
You said it was well about Nottingham Forest signing those players. Liverpool
haven't signed anyone.
Really signed anyone.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of talk about Kvaratskhelia in the last couple of days, which would be an interesting one.
That's not going to happen this transfer window. I mean,
well, there's a lot of talk saying he will move in this transfer window, but I'd be surprised if it's to Liverpool unless they know for a fact. We don't need another left winger. Yeah. Well, unless they know for a fact Salah's leaving, I can't see Kvaratskhelia going to Liverpool. But we shall see. Next couple ones are just going to be a purely points-based thing. We've already mentioned it a couple of times. Dan picked Ten Hag to be the first manager to leave. He was the first manager to leave. Ruben Amorim's come in and done. He's done all right. It's getting there. It's getting there.
14th, yeah. 13th. Sorry.
We'll see if we get a result against Arsenal on Sunday, and then I'll start bigging him up again. 2 of us have had managers that did leave, though. George got Steve Cooper, who I think was the second manager to leave, if I'm right in saying that. And then I can't remember if Russell Martin was 3rd or 4th, because there was like a 2-3 day period, wasn't there, where like a fair few managers all went. But yeah, so 3 of us got managers to leave. Chris was the only one to not get one to leave.
I hedged my bets. There was one of 2 ways that was going. That was Chelsea were going to get the top 4, or it was going to go very badly very early on. And with the team and the money that they've spent, Maresca was going to get let go very quickly because it was not working.
Exactly. So
I was thinking I knew Ten Hag would go at some point. I thought this season, but I just didn't think he'd be first. So
I just banked on United having a crap season, and they did.
At least it wasn't Gareth Southgate, as the joke was going around. And instead of Gareth Southgate, we've got Ruben Amorim, and Dan Ashworth had to leave because he tried to get Gareth Southgate. So that's why I
so wish it was.
That's what all that stuff and all that compensation we paid to Newcastle to get Dan Ashworth in, and all the gardening leave nonsense and all that lot. They fell out because Dan Ashworth was adamant that we should get Gareth Southgate. So
I wish he'd won that fight.
Do you know what? Do you know what? It's worth the 15 million for not getting Gareth Southgate. But anyway, top goal scorer. Obviously, 3 of us have gone for Haaland. Chris went for Isak. I can tell you as things stand, Salah is top, Haaland is 2nd, Isak is 3rd. So it's they're in there.
We were in the right ballpark.
We were in the right.
To be honest, I reckon if you had asked all 4 of us name your top 3 scorers this season, we would have probably said those 3, and it just happened that it went the Haaland Isak way. But yeah, no, those 3.
However, I will put the asterisk that there is 2 others joint 3rd with Isak. Palmer, we would expect, and there is 1 other which I don't think anyone would have picked for the start of the season,
which is Chris.
But we have alluded to him already.
It's Chris Wood, and I think we'll talk about him a bit more.
Incorrect. It's Brian Burma.
Oh, it's in Burma.
Oh. Chris Wood is on 12, 1 behind.
Oh, okay, fair enough. No, I didn't realise that.
As well, for the first few games of the season, how many was it? Haaland got back-to-back hat tricks, and then
he got 10 goals in the first 5. I think.
I imagine most bookies were paying out, weren't they, after the first few games of the season?
He got 10 in the first. Because I saw a stat. He did that "be humble" statement, didn't he, to Arsenal? He scored 10 in the first 5, then said the "be humble" thing to Arsenal, and since then scored, I think it was 5 in 15. So stay humble, wasn't it? Stay humble.
Yeah.
So yeah, he kind of shot himself in the foot with that one. In terms of most clean sheets, we are all level on this because Newcastle and Arsenal, I believe, are both on 7. Nottingham Forest are top, I believe, on 9, and then Liverpool are on 8 with a game in hand. So I think that's the way it lies. And I think Everton somehow are also on 7 as well because of how many 0-0 draws they've had.
They just get Pickford has 7 and he's played every game for them.
Yeah. So again, we're in the ballpark. We've both got 7 on that one, so I'm happy with that. Now we move on to the final 2 categories, which was our one-to-watch players, which we will then turn into our surprise players of the season so far. Kai Havertz, I went for, who actually had a decent start to the season. I spoke about how he had a really good run at the back end of last season, carried that into the Euros, carried that into the start of the season, and then he turned back into Kai Havertz. So, yeah, that's not gone great for me. He now only starts because other people are injured. Jesus has got his spot back up front, and Havertz is now playing in midfield. So Yeah.
Everyone said Arsenal needed a striker, and
it's fine. All he had to do was get his head on it against Newcastle, and he completely missed it, and it came off his shoulder. But it's fine.
I know, yeah.
That was the FA Cup, though.
I know, but it's worth noting. George went for Nkunku, which I guess in terms of Premier League predictions hasn't gone that well. But
no.
I will tell you he's performed quite well in the Europa Conference League, as someone who covers that on this channel.
I was thinking about if I was in Nkunku, I'd be getting out there trying to find a way out of Chelsea, because it's not. I don't think it's his lack of quality. It's just there's so many players at Chelsea. It's like if he was at any other club, he'd be starting. If he was at any other club, he'd be starting, wouldn't he?
Yeah. I mean,
I think he's been linked with trying to leave. If I was him, I mean, imagine being a player of doing what he did in the Bundesliga and then being reduced to playing in the Conference League against some team from Kazakhstan. It's like he's Champions League quality.
Yeah,
he's better than that. So
yeah,
I just think he's
Would he be a good fit for Arsenal?
Would he be another Havertz for Arsenal?
That's the thing. I'm just trying to think who would have.
No, he's better than Havertz.
I mean,
I really rate him. I'm surprised he can't get a game at Chelsea.
I don't know. He always played down the middle, didn't he? But like off a striker.
So this is what I was about to say.
He played hand in hand with Werner, so someone who's got rapid pace, and he was the one that kind of linked them up. So if anything, it would be a Newcastle that could potentially sit him. You got him with Isak, and instead of Murphy on the right, potentially look him with him behind with Gordon and Isak kind of interchanging up front.
That's what I was thinking, because obviously we're being heavily linked with Matheus Cunha. He can definitely do a job.
He would also do a job for you.
One of our two off. He would do a very good job there. And we've got good relations with Chelsea, I think. So potentially there.
No, but it's
Dan, Darwin Núñez.
Yeah, I was banking on I think it's his third season at Liverpool. I was like, he might if he was going to have this is like the season where you've settled in enough, you've got no more excuses anymore. So kind of hoping he was going to blow up. He hasn't really. He's not done bad, I suppose, but he's not.
He's not a slot player, is he? I don't think.
No, I don't think he's. I think he's got 15 appearances in the Premier League, 2 goals, 2 assists. It's not great for a striker, but
the stat that I saw, which I think I've mentioned to you previously, but I wouldn't have mentioned on this channel, he's now played the same amount of games as Grant Holt, the former Norwich striker that was like a bang average it was a bang average relegation scrap Premier League striker, and Grant Holt had something like 15 to 20 more Premier League goals than Darwin Núñez has at the same stage. So...
he's not good. He's what was it the other day on the when they were playing, it was like they were calling him a shit Andy Carroll. So, I felt bad for him. I felt for him, but yeah.
And then
he makes things happen, but it's just no one knows what those things are going to be.
He's not that he's not a bad player. He's just it just seems that he can't get a shot on target that well, and he's sort of just a bit different. Just not what we need, but we're doing it without him.
And then probably the best of the bunch here, Solanke, even though Spurs are 12th.
I was going to say this. He's been in a stuttering injury hit Spurs, has had an injury this season as well, so he's missed a couple of games and had a couple of substitute appearances when he was coming back to full fitness. So the game's goals per match ratio or appearance ratio isn't the best, but he's definitely looking like a threat. And if the likes of Porro and Johnson can start getting the balls into him a bit more regularly, I think he's definitely, out of the ones we've picked for sure, the one that's staking the claim the best.
Yep. And I would also say he is definitely Harry Kane's number 2 at the moment for England. I know there's not going to be another England squad till March, but I said I'd have taken him to the Euros. He didn't go because of Watkins and Toney, which at the time you could understand, but I still would have taken Solanke ahead of one of them, probably Toney. I think I was pitching for, but I think right now, undeniably, he would be the one that stepped up for Kane because. Okay, Tony's doing all right in Saudi Arabia, but
Saudi Arabia,
and Watkins has just gone well off the boil this season.
Well, he's gone off the ball, but that's also because Duran scoring off the bench means that he's now challenging him for the starting spot, so he's not getting the minutes.
No, but you'd think
in recent games
him to step up. Anyway, those are the players that we were going to have a look at. These are the players that have stood out for us. And we've all gone for different players. 3 of us have gone for a different Nottingham Forest player. And George has gone for Gravenberch. So we'll start off with you, George, with your Ryan Gravenberch, since we can then have a bit of a chat about Forest before we finish off.
So, this is the first time I've seen it. So interesting, you've all gone for 3 different Nottingham Forest players. And I was trying to think of who is the one player from Nottingham Forest. And I couldn't really think of one. I thought it's more the whole team. If there was a surprise team for the season, it'd be Nottingham Forest. And I was trying to think, and yeah, as you said, I haven't seen much of Nottingham Forest. I've watched as much Liverpool as I can. And I think if you'd have said to me at the start of the season, oh, Liverpool will be top of the league, or no, if you'd have said at the start of the season, Gravenberch has played every single game and pretty much every single minute for Liverpool, I would have said, oh, has there been an injury or something, or has something gone wrong? But he just, I've been amazed at how good he is, and he's so young as well. And
what I will say is, I think this is down to the way that he's being deployed. So I think he was signed initially as a box to box. That was to get forward and support the attacks, whereas now he's played more as a 6, sitting there receiving the ball from defence and then starting the attack from a deep lying midfielder position.
Yeah, no, I've been really shocked at how well he's done for us. And
he came with a lot of potential, so the fact he's living up to it now is good.
He was at Ajax and he went to Bayern Munich and he couldn't get it to go in there, and then the turnaround from.
He's adapted his game. It's admirable.
And the other thing as well, I would say, is, again, all those players have probably done well for Nottingham Forest, but Gravenberch didn't look out of place at all against Real Madrid, against Bayer Leverkusen, away against AC Milan. Top I've been,
The one thing that I always like about him, which is one of the most underrated abilities of midfield play, because it looks so simple, he's got that ability to let the ball run past him.
Yeah. Suarez did it all the time.
Suarez used to do it all the time. Again, as a partial Luton fan, it's what Ross Barkley used to do at Luton all the time last season. Like, he receives the ball from the defence and he knows how to put his body in the way of an on-rushing midfielder, let the ball go past him, and it just opens up the whole pitch for him. And he's so good at that. And it looks like such a basic skill, but it's so hard to master. And he's got that absolutely down. And then it obviously allows him to then express himself when he's on the forward turn as well. But I mean,
I've been amazed by the transformation. That's
Well, I keep going on about it. Young Player of the Year.
If Cole Palmer gets injured, maybe
he's in the category. So then we have Nottingham Forest. I mean, I don't think we need to say too much more about Milenkovic. I don't think, unless there's anything else you want to add on him, Dan. I think, like I said, he's just
he stood out. I know it was a little bit boring of me signing the season and the ones to watch, but I just think he's one of the reasons that they are where they are, and he's done incredible. But so you guys carry on.
I'll go next because we'll leave it for the goal scorer at the end. The reason I've gone for Ola Aina over any of the other Nottingham Forest players is a very, very nerdy reason, which is that he is comfortably the top point scorer in FPL for defenders this season. And that's not a disservice to any of the other players, but that means that he's doing an awful lot. That means that not only is he contributing with goals and assists, which he is, but that also means he's picking up a lot of bonus points as well, which means he's making a lot of tackles, he's making a lot of forward passes, he's heavily involved in everything good about Nottingham Forest, and obviously he's another key component in the 9 clean sheets. And considering that he spent all of last season at left back, and now he's back in his more natural right back position, probably means he was playing out of position last year and shouldn't have been over there. But considering, he's 28 years of age, he's been at Forest a couple of years now, and it's only now that he's really starting to shine through. Again, I'd love to have seen more of him, but they've not been showing a lot of Nottingham Forest games. It'll be interesting to see how he does against Gakpo or Diaz or whoever Liverpool put out there in a couple of days' time. But it might get absolutely pulled apart, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And then finally, a former Newcastle player.
I had to give him some praise here. When we had him for a good couple of seasons, when we signed him, he was one of those players that knew the Premier League but was always in a team that was fighting to survive, battling that relegation. all those relegation positions. So the fact that he's stepped up and, as you thought, was joint third on the list, but is just one goal behind. So I think that makes him sixth on the list. I think it is for the total goals of the season so far. Fair play to him. He's definitely stepped up and putting the ball in the back of the net way more regularly than I ever thought he would.
So, especially given that he only got in the team because Awoniyi got injured in the first place. And last season, everyone was raving about how good Awoniyi was. So for him to to keep his place once Awoniyi's fit is down to his ability, and he's taken his chance and he's pushed on. What I would say, as you mentioned those top goal scorer stats, I was very, very, very close to putting Mbeumo as mine. But the only reason is it's not a total surprise. Like, we all knew Mbeumo was good. I guess the surprise is how well he stepped up in Ivan Toney's absence. But again, him himself, he's only like 23, 24 Mbeumo. He can definitely...
So it's also... The thing is, though, for Brentford, they've also got Visser, who's been playing very well as well. And so the two have struck up a very good partnership. And then doesn't Visser play more down the middle and Mbeumo play off the left?
Well, they play 3-5-2. Visser is slightly off the left and Mbeumo slightly off the right. The one that's, even now in this conversation, that's gone under the radar is Damsgaard, who was finally starting to show the form that we saw in the Euros a few years back before they signed him.
16-year-old.
I think it was a little bit older than that, but he has started playing every single game from this season, and he is the one that sort of gets the ball and then gives it to them. So he's giving them opportunities, but they're absolutely taking them. So yeah, definitely worth a shout for those. And then finally, we have the things that we all thought were going to be worth mentioning at some points over the course of the season. I guess we'll just work our way along. Fixture congestion, I think, has been quite prevalent throughout the season with the amount of injuries to key players across multiple teams.
If we had a Spurs fan in our midst, I'm sure they would be badgering on about it.
Yeah. Well, as I said, apart from really Liverpool, who have only really lost Jota, I guess Alisson as well, but he's had multiple injuries. But I think, but a lot of the big teams have suffered. Obviously, Manchester City have had Rodri, De Bruyne, Ruben Diaz, etc. Arsenal have now lost Saka to a muscular injury. They've had, Ben White
as well, didn't they?
I think Saliba had a small one, but Ben White's is injured until February. Obviously, some of them are across multiple teams. Some of them are impact injuries. There are always going to be some impact injuries. It's now emerged, obviously, that the Bentancur one was just a serious head collision. So he didn't actually suffer what I thought he had when I spoke about it yesterday. Right. It was just a serious concussion. So then you do get some impact injuries still, but I think I think we're seeing a lot more muscular injuries this season compared to normal. And with it being FA Cup weekend, they've scrapped FA Cup replays because of the fixture congestion. We've got 2 extra Champions League games that are just unnecessary. I will say I like the new Champions League format. I think it's been a little bit more interesting, but is it worth the extra 2 games? I don't know. And yeah, I guess we'll know come the end of June when the likes of Manchester City have also competed throughout the Club World Cup as well. So it's and Chelsea are in that as well because they won the Champions League 3 years ago. So yeah, I guess we'll see how that looks come the end of that. I don't think there's much of a conversation to have about semi-automated offsides, George, because they were supposed to be here by now and they're not here yet. Where's the semi-automated offsides?
I don't know what's going on.
But I think that's why you put them on there in the first place, isn't it? Because it was like they're supposed to be bringing them in, but they probably won't, and they haven't, because somehow the best league in the world can't get it implemented in 20 Premier League grounds, even though United, Chelsea, well, anyone that's played in any of the 3 European competitions already has it. So that's half the league already. Yet the other half haven't been able to get it in 4 or 5 months.
No.
If not longer.
It hasn't been existed prior. I can't think of too many long. There's been a couple, but there haven't been too many long offside stoppages or.
No, and most importantly, they haven't got any wrong. So we think.
Yeah, because they don't exactly zoom into it to the most minute detail, do they?
Some of the lines still look a bit dodgy, and just the fact that we could just have it done. What annoys me, again, you have to have fairness across all the matches. What annoys me is that we could have it in matches and we don't. So I don't understand why we can't. Because at the end of the day, it's still a functionality of VAR. VAR is what we're using. Surely we should just be aiming for the best result. If you're saying it's unfair that this match has semi-automated offsides compared to this match where they're drawing the lines, that would suggest there is a much larger significance in error in drawing the lines, which would suggest that some of the decisions they're making are wrong. So surely you would just want it in the games where you could have it. But anyway, that's semi-automated offsides. Dan, do you have anything else to add on Chelsea? Because I guess they have. Yeah. I'm pretty sure the whole reason I put them in there was because I sort of said ever since Abramovich left, they were on a downward spiral, and I think this will be their season to make a bit of a comeback, and they're in the top 4, so yeah.
And they're still being linked with more players, aren't they? All the time.
Exactly,
Never ends.
Well, Kvaratskhelia is available. I'm sure Chelsea will be looking for yet another left winger to add to Mudryk and Sancho and Pedro Neto.
Exactly.
I mean, it won't happen, but I saw something about Kobe Mainoo. I was like, what's going on?
Well,
is no one out of reach for them? I just
Kobe Mainoo's agent spoke to Chelsea.
Bloody hell.
But that's his agent. His agent's entitled to talk to whoever he wants. Mainoo's made it pretty clear.
Yeah, he's going to go to everybody and be like, oh, do you want to put a bid in?
Ironically,
how much are you going to?
Yeah.
But ironically, again, the one player they should have signed a striker. I think, didn't I say in the last one about Osimhen would be my signing of the season if they signed him? They didn't, and how's Jackson got on?
He's done all right, apart from the last month. But
I know, yeah.
If only they had another player that could play up front in their squad, like Christopher Nkunku, eh?
Yeah.
And then to round off the video, once again, we have Manchester City's 115 charges, which I believe are, I don't want to say imminent, but some point in the next couple of months.
Which could completely null and void our whole thoughts of not only have they had a rough start to the season, but then if they get given a big points deduction, would that push them into relegation?
Or it'd be the right time to give them a big points deduction, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Like if they're winning the league on 90 points and it gives them a 70-point deduction, they have 20 and still stay just above the relegation zone and survive into the Premier League. It's going to be no issue, much like what we talked about with Forests and their 6 points. They survived, and now look at them. It would have been the same situation, whereas if they actually get relegated, that would have massive cost implications to them. Yeah. They wouldn't be able to survive the salaries that they would pay.
How many points are they on at the minute?
I can get the league back out. Hang on.
It has to be 31. No.
34.
34. I was going to say, I was thinking it's 15 points, but you have a game in hand. That's why I was thinking it's 15 points.
Yeah.
It's the game in hand.
31.
So 34. Yeah.
So 34. What? Yeah,
previous seasons they've done 80, 90 points.
Yeah, well, they've been. Did they hit over 100?
They hit 3 figures, didn't they?
Yeah, they hit over 100 one year.
Liverpool got mid-90s.
Well, the thing is, if they're hit with any form of significant points deduction this season now, they are not getting anywhere near a European place.
No.
Which, even of itself, will be enough for some of those players. Because this is the thing, you got to talk about the loyalty, and I've had a conversation with a few people about when Juventus got relegated for cheating a few years back. The majority of that squad was Italians that wanted to play for Juventus, so they went down to Serie B, kept the likes of Buffon, Cannavaro, Del Piero, all of their superstar
same
players.
As Rangers when they did it.
Exactly.
They dropped down to the 4th league in Scotland or whatever, but because they were a lot of the players that grown up with them, or Rangers had given them their first chances, sort of thing, that they went, well, we'll stick with you, got them straight back up, and now they're fighting for the titles again, aren't they?
Other than maybe a Phil Foden that is Manchester City through and through, I can't see Haaland playing in the Championship. I can't see Ruben Diaz playing in the Championship. They're not that sort of player. I saw one person say the other day, the Leeds United fans could finally have their dream where Manchester City get relegated, Haaland goes to Leeds for one season while Leeds are in the Premiership, because at the moment Leeds are top of the Championship. So they're like, City get relegated. Haaland spends one season on loan at boyhood club Leeds United, helps Leeds stay in the Premiership, and then goes back to City when they get re-promoted. But
the thing is I could potentially see some of the older players staying. The Haaland wouldn't. No, I agree with that. But like maybe like a Kevin De Bruyne. I mean, I don't know where his contract is.
He's gone already.
Has he? Okay, so I was going to say like
I'm pretty sure he knows he's done at the sort of like tippity top. So I think
he's got injuries. He's got some.
Yeah.
Well, that's sort of why I was thinking that players like him who have had their time in the limelight, and it was with City. Now, who are a little bit older, if they drop down to the Championship, they go, do you know what? We'll give you one more season. We'll get you back into the Premier League, and then we'll bugger off.
Could they afford the wages with PSR in the Championship?
I have absolutely no idea.
There's so many. I mean, we don't even know if it's going to happen, do we? No. So it's all hypothetical. But
exactly.
All I'd say about that is, if you have someone that's injury prone, don't play in a Championship. Absolutely
fixture congestion.
Battered. Well, fixture congestion and the style of play in the Championship. But yeah, I guess we'll have to see. At least in theory, it's now not going to affect the title race, even though it may affect several previous title races. So we'll see.
Still don't know when we're going to find out, do we? Because
well, I said apparently it's some point in the next couple of months. Apparently, it's supposed to be at the latest April, because they also need to allow for subsequent time for appeals and this, that, and the other, and it all has to be wrapped up by the end of this season. So it's coming. It's just when. But yeah, with all the...
What a day that will be.
Well, this is the thing. Again, with everything else that's gone on this season, it's actually gone away, because the chat has been, City are playing crap. They can't live without Rodri. Should Pep be sacked? Is Pep leaving anyway? What's happening with De Bruyne? Why is Foden not playing? What's wrong with Haaland?
There's so many other things going on there. The actual 115 charges have kind of just been like shoved under the rug for a little bit.
Exactly. But
maybe the players already know they're going to get in trouble, so they're already checked out themselves. They've heard something else. They know something we don't.
Wow.
Well, yeah, maybe they've gone, because if we're playing really badly, maybe the FA will feel bad for us and not give us such a big point deduction.
Either that,
rather than 70 points.
Well, what's the point of?
Yeah. What's the point of trying?
On the Liverpool Echo, apparently Man City cannot be relegated from the Premier League if they are found guilty of their 115 alleged breaches of financial rules. An expert has said.
Oh yeah,
an expert.
An expert from the Liverpool Echo. The thing is, again, even though they might not be allowed, because I think there's only two ways they can go about it. They can either, the FA can chuck them out of the Football League, which means they will get...
It's a loophole in the way they've worded it. They can give them enough points deduction to make a relegation inevitable, but they can't physically chuck them out of the division.
Yeah, because that's the thing. What they can't do is relegate them. It's one or the other. They'll either give them enough points deduction to get them relegated, or if they chuck them out, it sends them straight to the conference. That's the difference in like what you're saying about the Rangers compared to Juventus. I think Juventus were given an insurmountable points deduction, whereas Rangers were chucked out of the Scottish Football League.
Yeah, Rangers were chucked down to they were put right out. They had to go up quite a few leagues.
But hey ho. Until then, we can continue to laugh at them, but then also slightly worry that they're still kind of there.
Right. I'm just enjoying laughing at United.
But that's the thing. Like everyone's saying
until
about
they're
how
mathematically out of the question, I'm still worried about them. Just from
again, as a Manchester,
and we all say, don't we?
I was going to say, as a Manchester United fan that is so desperate for Liverpool not to go level on Manchester United by winning the league this season, I'm looking at it going, Forest away, they could lose that. Brentford away, they could lose that. All of a sudden, lose to Manchester City, it's down to 6 points.
Nah, that's a Man United fan getting his hopes up.
Absolutely is. At least we've played
twice. If they win 5 in a row, surely they'll.
We're not going to have 3 bad games on the bounce, and we got the draw at United, which was shit.
You're not playing City in 3 weeks' time. I'm just saying your next 2 games are games that you could lose based on the form of the 2 respective teams at home, and then at some point in the second half of the season, you've also got to play City. So, assuming you could lose all 3 of them, all of a sudden it's down to 6. But
that's meaning that nobody else loses any points.
Well, that's assuming
they've also not. Yeah, they've got to not lose points during those.
Because this is my whole thing about Man United, and I'm kind of just rambling on now, but whatever, we can ramble on. That's my thing about Manchester United. I look at how we played against Liverpool and go, damn, if we play like that for the rest of the season, what's to stop us going all the way back up the table and fighting for the top 4? What's stopping us is the fact that there's 9 teams between us and the top 4.
Yes.
And we've got to overhaul all of them. So
it's a struggle.
Yeah. Anyway, that'll probably do.
I've seen Newcastle's next 3 games. No, sorry. Don't worry.
Oh, you want to talk about next few games? Look at Wolves.
That's what Newcastle in the Prem play Wolves, then Bournemouth, then Southampton. So our winning run could continue.
Yeah. No. What Wolves' next few fixtures are absolutely. I think Wolves are playing like the whole top 5 as their next 5 fixtures or something. It's ridiculous.
Trouble.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. So thank you all for joining once again. I'm sure we will do this at the end of the season to see who is the overall winner, and then we will determine.
I'll be very happy if I'm wrong and Liverpool win the league though. So I'm not too bothered.
Well, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I'll be very happy if I'm right and Man City win the league. I'd much rather City win 5 in a row than Liverpool go level with us, but I guess we can leave it there. So I'll say, as I say, thank you for joining. Thank you anyone who has made it this far all the way through, and we'll catch you all very soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.